Hey. Want to listen offline? Download the full episode at Sintax77.com. Later. What do you do now?
Okay. We just started.
I started.
Okay.
Is it started?
Yeah.
Is this us starting it?
Yeah, this is us starting it.
Okay.
Little change of plans. So I was going to do a video today. I'm going to try something a little different. Because I was like, all right, I'm going to do a weekly update video because I kind of got out of the mix with that because I put the full-length video up, and then we went to Utah, which is what we're going to talk about today. I'll get into that in a minute. I was like, I'll just do a video from my car. But I'll be honest, when I thought of this originally, I pictured the two of us the way we did our your new pack video.
Mm-hmm.
Where we just sat and chit-chatted.
Yeah.
It was a Sinchats video. And I kind of pictured that being cool. And then as we got closer to me needing a video, I was like, well, Sarah's working today. She's working from home. She's working till 6, and I'm at work, so I could probably just take a break, and I'll just do a video in my car. And I'll talk about, what do I talk about? So I was like, all right, I'll talk about Utah because that's on my mind. But then it got me back to thinking about the fact that I want to do it with you. But then I was like, I'm having a bad hair day.
No, it was really the outfit.
Was it my outfit?
It was your outfit. You said you don't really know what to wear.
Yeah, I didn't feel like doing that.
So he changed it to audio, so in that way no one can see him.
Yes, because, I was going to be in my work clothes, and I just don't feel like dealing with that.
I don't blame you.
It got me thinking, though, that maybe I'll just do audio only because I got the Zoom recorder that I used out in the field sometimes.
Which is now hanging from our chandelier. It's our chandelier mic.
Yeah, this is not exactly the way you're supposed to do it, especially...
I like it, personally.
I myself, of course, would love to do it the other way, and I'm sure we're getting a little echo in here and stuff. I would love separate mics, but I have the little lapel mic that you see like the newscast people wear. I have one of those, and that's about it. So we hung the wire with it at the end. It's just like a little bean at the end of a string, basically. Hung it from the chandelier in between us, so that hopefully it doesn't get any interference and sounds from the table.
And he made me sit across from him. Can we start with that? Maybe that's how we should start the podcast out with.
All right, we can get awkward. That's fine.
Making me sit across the table from you.
You like to usually do cat-a-corner, I'm assuming. Yes, but I figured let's be straight on with each other, and we'll do that.
This isn't my normal seat.
No hurt feelings. And I just want to talk about Utah.
Yeah.
So we're 3 minutes in, and I haven't even explained that. But if you can read the title, you can figure that out.
Sorry, people.
No, that's fine. And I figure that it'll be the more hardcore fan that actually, viewer, whatever. The more involved viewer that actually comes and listens to this. So I totally understand most of you. This is a little over the top. But what I wanted to do was just sit down. We did our trip to Utah.
Yeah.
I'll get into all the details. I really want to walk through the whole thing. I just want to go through it. And for anybody interested, maybe you're interested in going to Utah for some outdoorsy stuff, some backpacking, which we did, and I did a whole video on. So when we get to that part, I'll probably skip the details on that, just to keep it interesting when the video comes out. Just our experience going out to Utah in general. So if you're thinking of doing that, maybe this will be interesting. And or if not that specific, just the whole concept of, and it was the first time for us, the whole concept of actually flying somewhere to do your backpacking, which was totally new for me.
Yes.
And for you. I fantasized about it for quite some time now.
This is true.
And then we finally did it. So kind of both things I'm thinking on this. I almost said episode. Was that your phone going off?
That was.
Yeah, that's not very professional now, is it?
Text messages. I'll silent it.
Yes.
I'll go off the grid.
It's fine. It's whatever. And that's another thing. I don't want this to be professional. If you want to hear some canned, lifeless, soulless talking, you can turn on FM radio.
You've come to the wrong place.
Yeah, we won't be doing that. So there will be plenty of unprofessional things, I'm sure. But anyway, where was I? So I was talking about just walking through the trip.
It was the wine.
The wine?
The wine.
I don't remember saying anything about wine.
No, but I remember. So
So
First thing we're going to do is we're going to start with the wine.
But you're making stuff up. I don't think that I ever said anything
You
about
did.
wine.
Viewers can rewind. They can rewind this. I'm sure that's what they do. And then you can point out
yes.
where you said, but first we need to start with wine.
All right. Yeah,
I
probably just forgot.
I'm pretty sure everyone will back me on this.
Yeah, so we have a little bottle of wine, so we'll have that as we go because we feel like it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's after work. It's a Monday. We're doing wine and cheese. And we did wine in Utah. So look, we're tying it together.
It's full circle.
All looping
it's
together.
Full circle.
There's a reason we're drinking.
Speaking of looping together, and you're looping right back into the unprofessional thing because you also mentioned cheese.
Uh-huh.
And eating on the air could be the most taboo thing ever. And we have a nice platter of cheese here and some red currant jelly, some mustard. Because we haven't eaten dinner.
No.
So, maybe if we were on the radio, we would have eaten dinner because we'd be going into work. Mm-hmm. But we just got off of work and we're hungry.
We're starting our other.
Yeah, so you're just going to have to deal with it. Every once in a while, you're going to hear somebody eating cheese.
Mm-hmm. And it's probably going to be me.
That's just the way it is.
A lot of the time. I'm hungry.
Speaking of other sound effects, maybe... It's not a sound effect. It's real life.
Ready? Up.
It's the whole segment. It's just the sound of wine flowing. Okay.
I hope that came across.
Pour in a little wine. Yes, that's real life. That's fine. You're just spilling some on the table. You're just gonna sit back and listen to that.
Yeah.
I want no editing on these things. Oh God. She just.
I always cheer the.
Clinked the wine glass against the microphone. I don't know how that sounded.
Cheer the camera.
Right, that's true.
So, I can't stop.
Yeah, it's fine. I do enough editing on the videos, which is fun and I enjoy it, but for this, no editing. So we'll just go with the flow. It's basically you're going to be hanging out with us while we talk about our trip to Utah.
So with that.
Yes.
Cheers.
There it is. Excellent. Mm-hmm. Hold on. A little dead air, another taboo thing, and I don't care.
It's good.
Let's taste this.
Oh, and it's Red Rock.
Ooh.
So
I bought it.
Loop Utah in.
I bought it 100% based on the label, which I always do for wine.
I do as well.
And I always do for girl books.
Yes, and it works every time.
If you're buying a book for your wife or girlfriend, do not do anything more than search. There's no such thing as bookstores anymore for most of you, but I like to go to Barnes & Noble's, was the only one left. And you walk through...
Borders. We used to have Borders.
Yes, I know. You walk through and if you're buying for your wife or girlfriend, you strictly go by the cover. That's it.
Yes.
It works every time.
It does.
And 90%.
Yeah.
It really does. So you can judge a book by the cover. But anyway, the point is, this is Red Rock Winery, Malbec wine from Argentina, as I believe all Malbecs are.
Possibly.
I feel like they are. Anyway, it's Red Rock.
Podcast. We can go with that.
And there's a picture of rocks on the front that looks like a cairn.
Yay!
Which is another word for, pile of rocks to tell you where to go on the trail.
Also blazes, yes.
Yes, so I bought that. It was between this and one that had a picture of a mountain on the front.
Oh.
What?
No mountain wine?
It was tough, but for some reason this reminded me of Utah.
No, I agree.
I don't know why.
I agree.
Which is why we're here.
Yes.
All right, so we'll walk through it.
Yes.
Now, I'm tempted. I'm not going to jump right into my side of the story.
Do it.
No, but we need backstory. So here's the deal. I've been saying forever I want to go out west. Not necessarily West Coast, but just west of the Appalachians, right? And
somewhere other than east.
Plenty of people have been begging me to do it too. And I've been wanting to do it. And it's just looking online and viewing for cheap or inexpensive flights and the right opportunity. And I was just really waiting to do that. And then also I was like, where do I go? And this and that. And then suddenly we kind of had an opportunity because you got a new job.
I did.
You did, where you work from home now, which I mentioned earlier.
Same company.
Same company, work from home, which is super cool. Which is a whole nother story. So I will spare you from that. But basically, as part of your new job, which is obviously pretty decentralized because all of you work from home, they said we're going to train you.
Correct. And the trainer actually lives in Utah. Okay. So when she told me on the phone that they would be sending me to Utah for the training, I tried to hide my excitement a little bit because I know it's on our top 10 list of places that we want to go. And if you're going to fly me out there, well, I want to stay for a little bit and explore.
Okay.
So she was pretty excited that I was excited to come to Utah, because I guess apparently others that she's trained aren't usually excited about Utah, but
okay. Different mindset, apparently.
Yeah, I know. I was like, it's fine. So took that and we kind of turned it into a longer weekend. Took a vacation day one time during the week.
Right, because
and then
basically
used our holiday, or excuse me, the weekend. Holiday.
Both our days off are Friday, Saturday. Mm-hmm. Just thankfully works out that way. So Friday through Saturday, and they told you had training on.
Flew out Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday was training.
Tuesday, Wednesday was training. Monday was travel, which leaves Thursday. You would have been a work day.
Right, I would have flown back Wednesday night.
And you said, "Hey, can I take a vacation day?"
Yeah.
And I said the same thing at my job. And now we have a 3-day weekend, basically.
Yeah. So you came to me Wednesday night, was it? I picked you up at the airport at like 7.
Yeah, which brings me... Yeah, exactly.
Time?
So it brings me exactly to my part of the story.
But, side note, before you came there, I did the...
So let's talk about that. And then I will talk about everything I went through as far as packing the gear and all that. But you're out there already.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Out there already. And did a few... What did I do on... Well, Monday I just got there and went to dinner, but driving around was just insane. Just seeing the mountains.
Should point out that we're from Delaware. Okay, so
very flat.
If you don't know where it is, just think Philadelphia, and we're about 25 minutes from the airport. Okay.
Very flat.
Yeah, it's very flat. We drive 9 hours north or south in order to see mountains. Okay, so there you go.
So. Yeah, on the highway, I felt like I was a hazard to probably be driving, as I just kept looking. I just wanted to keep seeing it. It was so pretty. It was so cool that it's just, along there, what they consider like 95. They're, major throughway. But then on Tuesday after I got off, that's when I did Skyline Drive, I think, right?
You did.
So I took my rental car, a beautiful Nissan Versa, and more than half.
Product placement.
More than half of this Skyline Drive was completely unpaved. And I didn't know if I was supposed to be on it, if it was for off-roading only. Everyone I'm passing is in like a Jeep, a big truck.
And you're in a rental.
Massive tire. I'm in a
sensible
compact Nissan Versa.
Yes.
She did very well. But drove up there to see the sunset over the Salt Lake.
Right.
Or the Great Salt Lake.
So this is right outside of the city.
It was right outside my hotel. It was right there in...
Didn't take you long to drive there.
It was literally... Well, the drive itself, like to get up on the peak or whatever.
Yeah. But mileage-wise, you're right by...
Oh my God, it was like less than 5 minutes before I was at the start of Skyline. So literally right around the corner of the hotel, which was phenomenal.
Right. We're not talking about Skyline Drive in Virginia. We're talking about a whole nother Skyline Drive.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. That so you helped research via phone and sent me there to go see it, which was really, really cool.
Yeah. So you got there for sunset.
Watched the sun kind of dip behind the mountains and over the whole Salt Lake.
You could see the Great Salt Lake.
Exactly. And then the mountains behind me turned purple. Oh my God, it was really cool.
And Great Salt Lake, huge, right?
Massive.
Like, for those who don't know or haven't seen it, or even myself.
Yeah.
I
sent you those pictures, yeah.
You say lake, but I feel like it looked like an ocean.
Oh, yeah. No, it was...
It's like watching the sunset of an ocean.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. It was very massive. It kind of spread for my whole view, was the whole, lake.
Sure.
So that was a fun little mini adventure that I did through you, but you unfortunately weren't with me yet. But
Right. Did a little research, and then you went up there and did it, which is awesome. And then you just drove out of there. Everything was fine. Slept. Then you did training again the next day?
Yeah, training again the next day. And then had to hit up REI.
Oh, yes.
Because of certain things that you cannot pack on an airplane.
Even checked luggage.
Correct.
Right. Which kind of, brings us...
Yeah.
So the topic right there.
Yeah, I needed to hit, of course, the liquor store to get, some grape juice for Utah. That we didn't feel like carrying, as well as what do we need? The stove.
Oh well, Yeah, I'll get into that. Yeah, so
okay.
you were able
but yeah,
to
there was
check
a few
the
things
stove.
that we picked up that I had to pick up at REI, and then I went and picked you up at the airport.
Oh, that was that day?
Yeah,
so we're
that
there.
was Wednesday.
Okay, yeah, so we're there. So, so from my world, we rewind a little bit. And, all right, so for me, I left Wednesday night.
Wednesday, like afternoon.
Wednesday afternoon, basically. Yeah, so we should go further back. So
noonish.
you find out that you're flying out to do this training, and you're like, hello, like opportunity. I'm like, okay, well. So I start researching initially. I'm like, cool. Hey, it's 600 miles from, or God, no. How many miles is that?
Many.
It's many, right? It's 1,000, over 1,000.
Over
because,
1,000.
yeah, coming from the East Coast, it is on
I think
the
thousands is to Florida.
opposite side of the Rockies.
Right.
You cross the Rockies to get there, from our perspective on the East Coast. So I'm like, okay, cool. Well, hey, Utah in general is great with me. And I don't know what you're willing to put up with as far as driving and stuff. It's all new. It's brain flooded with information.
In a completely different area.
Yeah, so let me start researching it. So I'm like just Googling like hikes near Salt Lake City, Utah. And I see this Wasatch National Forest come up, which I hope I'm saying right now, because I know back then it was even worse.
I don't even think I can even still say it.
Especially when I first saw it, it was like Wasabahuchi, and you're like, there's a what? There's a Wabahuchi National Forest? And,
There's a W. We called it W for a bit.
Yeah. It's, if you look
and I was doing my own things that I want to say.
Yeah.
It's like, we need to see the...
Right, yeah, your list of stuff. So I'm looking at the map. If you look at Google Maps, it's like this Wasatch National Forest, like it butts right up to Salt Lake. I mean, right up to Salt Lake City. So I'm like, that's cool. And I'm looking at pictures of it, and it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's green, it's lush. Now at first you're thinking of Utah, which we get into. We do. But it's like, oh, okay, it's green, it's lush, it's more alpine.
Right.
Probably more like Colorado. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. And I start bringing it up to you and, you know, this and that. But it's not that you're walking on Mars, red dirt kind of Utah thing. But we're both kind of feeling each other out like, yeah, that'll work. You know, that's cool. Because the more I look into it, there is Canyonlands National Park.
Yeah.
It's a park, not a forest.
Correct.
And then there's Arches National Park. And those are 4 to 5 hours south. But they're amazing.
Yeah, well, somehow I brought up Moab, that I wanted to go to Moab.
You've talked about Moab before.
Yes, multiple
and
times.
I didn't even make the
before.
connection that we could do that.
Well,
because
even
of this
before we
training.
knew we were going to Utah, I talked about wanting to go to Moab.
Right.
Because I've kept seeing pictures, and I follow a lot of nature pics and stuff on Instagram, so I would constantly see these pictures, and each one I would like would inevitably be either like Greece or Moab. So we brought up Moab, and then that's when we started to look at...
and it was like, oh, Moab. Oh, the town of two parks, two national parks, right? Moab is... all right, so Salt Lake is kind of like... Utah obviously is one of the box states. You know, it's a very square-shaped state because by that point in our history, rivers didn't matter so much. It was all about the railroads, so we just started carving up states in squares instead of following river lines. But anyway, so if you picture Utah as this big box rectangle, Salt Lake City's like kind of top middle, and Moab and Canyonlands and stuff, Moab is down towards the lower right or southeast corner-ish. So I start looking into that, and Moab basically has Arches National Park, which is 5 minutes from Moab.
Yeah.
Like legit. I
Crazy.
mean, anywhere in Moab, you can get into Arches National
Moab,
Park.
and I love everyone that lived there.
Amazing, right?
I was so envious of everyone. What was that? That one shop that closed at like 1, you know, darn well. I don't know if I can curse.
Yeah.
You know, darn well.
Yeah, no. You do it. I'm not editing this, so it's whatever.
You
say darn if you want to.
I will darn it. Everyone there was just leaving work as soon as they got off and just climbing some amazing view. I'm sure, you know, they were all really great.
No,
anyway,
they were of a certain mindset. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So I'll stay All right. So, yeah. So anyway, so there's Arches. And then about, I'd say anywhere from half hour to an hour south of Moab, there's Canyonlands with several districts, of which we went to Needles for our backpacking. But anyway, all right. So went a little off-road there. Pun intended. So we start thinking, remember, we're back before Sarah's even out there right now. This is when I'm just researching. And it's like, you know what? All right, Moab is on. When are you ever going to be out there? So if you fly all the way out there, your flight is paid for. We just got to buy mine, dollar cost average. So we're looking at 2 flights for the price of 1. We got to do this. Right. I will go out there, meet you there. We will drive 4 or 5 hours south, whatever. Again, going back to where Delaware is, we do 8 or 9 hour drives to get to anything remotely interesting.
Right.
So a 4-hour drive, a once in a lifetime opportunity.
And we don't have anything that looks like that near us.
Yes. So we have to do it. All right. So whatever. We're going to do that. So Moab it is. It's on. Canyonlands specifically. I start researching. We narrowed down the Canyonlands. We both do. We're kind of going back and forth.
Mm-hmm. And I do what I always do, where I said,
yes,
"Are you sure?
Go ahead.
Are you sure that this is the best?"
Yeah.
Every time poor Sintax Sean gets a plan together for a hike and then shares it with me, and we go over all the details, I always just kind of second guess it. Are you sure we're actually getting all that Utah or Moab has to offer?
Yeah.
I drive you crazy. I'm sorry.
Self-doubt breeds results for sure.
Well, I just want to make sure I'm getting the most out of my experience, which I don't doubt you for a minute, but it's just nature for me that comes up and
totally.
Want to make sure.
I say Arches looks cool, but let's go Canyonlands, and because I'm looking into that, and then Canyonlands itself is subdivided into 3 different areas. So you got, I hope I remember all these correctly, because we went to Needles.
Do you need me to research it?
No, it's fine. That's fine. No editing. So there's Island in the Sky.
We'll just pause for a really long time.
No, we can pause now and then if someone has to pee. So there's Island in the Sky is one region.
Right. Yeah.
Region that is up at the top. Then you have the Maze underneath of that, kind of to the west, and Needles underneath of that, kind of to the east. All right, so
this is all of Canyonlands?
Yes.
Okay.
It's huge.
It is big. All their parks are massive.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Island in the Sky, I'm looking at on the map. And I was looking at that first. So I'm looking at that, and at first I'm like, man, these are really, okay, these campsites are kind of spaced out weird. And then I realized that they're Jeep trails with campsites. This was for
Island. That's right. I remember you mentioning that.
Which is
I was
cool.
like, I would totally be down to do that.
We'll have to go back and do that sometime. But they have, it's almost like what I envision as like canoe camping.
Yeah.
A whole nother version of that.
Well, that chick that was in front of us when we went to the park place to pay our parking, she was doing it. Yeah.
Right. You can kit up or grab a Jeep, kit it up properly, of course. Throw gear in there, kind of like canoe camping where it's like you're not worried about weight.
Yeah.
And you can reserve these campsites and you're on a Jeep trail, which is probably fun and technical and challenging in its own way.
Gosh.
And then you're still, I know. And then at the end, you're still out there in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Yeah. With your own campsite.
Yeah. With those stars? Stop it.
Which was awesome, but that's not what we were doing. So I was like, all right, well, I'll take those out of the equation. And then a lot of other stuff. It seemed like in that region, that was a great region to go if you just have your car. And I could be wrong, but I felt like if you have your car and you're not overnighting and you just want to go and see things, but you'll probably be around a little more people and stuff. That was Island in the Sky.
Do they just bring extra gas?
Oh, the Jeeps?
Just random.
Yeah, no. If you notice...
the back by the spare tire? Okay.
When we were driving around Moab.
I was thinking, what do you do?
You would see people when we're driving around. I mean, if you ever want to see Jeeps, oh my God. You're going to see some Jeeps when you're in Moab.
Oh my God, yeah. I want all of them.
That's awesome. It's like Mad Max, too.
If Jeep is listening, feel free to send us a Jeep. That we will accept.
Yeah. I have a lot of integrity. No.
But when it comes to Jeeps...
That's kind of douchey to say, but I feel like I wish I had a lot of integrity and I try to uphold that. But if Jeep ever calls me,
oh, it's on.
Just know if I ever start talking about Jeep, like they can do no wrong.
If they wanted me to drive a pink Jeep, done, do it. I would do it.
They've given me.
You would do it.
Jeep,
I would make you do it.
And I will sell out like anything. But anyway, when you're driving around there, yeah, you'll see the spare tire holders have like a little red can in the middle for backup gas. You also see guys with cans of gas just on there and water and stuff stacked up. It's like a Mad Max movie.
Yeah.
And I say that not just because of the Jeeps, but you'll see these vehicles that I swear you will not see anywhere else. Mm-mm. Remember, on the road? But they obviously are street legal because these people are renting them and they have Utah license plates. But
this is their backyard. It's so crazy.
But they're driving it on the highway as well.
Why not?
And they look like they're out of Mad Max.
I love it.
I mean, they're just these buggies.
There we are with our Nissan Versa again.
Yes.
Did we get a Nissan Versa again?
Again, we got a Nissan Versa. But anyway, yeah, we keep jumping to Moab, and that's fine. So, all right, so we're researching. If you're still hanging in there with us, we've pushed Island to the Sky out. All right, so now what's left is mazes and needles. So mazes, or is it the maze district? I don't know. It has something to do with a maze. But anyway.
Should I ask Google?
Yeah, ask Google. Hold on.
Okay, Google. Okay, Google. Maze District, Utah? Oh, I wanted her to talk. Maze Canyon. It just says maze. The maze is least accessible.
The mazes.
District of Canyonlands.
Yeah, whatever. There's a maze involved. So out there, it basically says in everything you look up for it, please, God, have your ish together.
Yeah.
We do not mark the trails. It is a series of canyons.
So here it is.
There you go. Go ahead.
Under Backpacker, it's one of, America's top 10 most dangerous hikes.
Right on.
The Maze, Utah. Backpacker. So, yeah. I mean, you can just tell from the pictures.
Yeah. Yeah, so it basically says, I know what you're doing. It says because of the canyon walls and stuff, GPS doesn't work, or at least don't rely on it, right? You remember reading that?
Yeah.
And just know what
Bring that paper
you're
map.
doing. And for that region...
oh, yeah, this says you better be a map savant if you want to wander into and back out of this red rock jungle, which is full of dead-end canyons. This is not the place for inexperienced hikers, declares Park Ranger Paul Henderson, who says it could take rescuers 3 days to reach you in this remote unit of Canyonlands. You have to be self-sufficient and ready to deal with your own emergencies. Wow.
Yeah, that sums it up right there.
Yeah.
I need say no more. So it gives you an idea of the vibe in that area.
Water is scarce.
Yeah, that too.
Impassable. Wow.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, believe me, that sounds like something I want to do. But it's like you got to look at you don't have to. You can do whatever you want. But from my perspective, it's like we're going out there. We got one shot. I want to do adventure, but I also,
want to enjoy it.
I want to enjoy it. I want to play it safe. I mean, at this point on the East Coast, it's like, yeah, we can roll some dice. We've had enough good experiences that it's like everything else. If something goes wrong, it's a learning experience to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But this was like, I want adventure, but at the same time, I think we both wanted things to go smoothly enough to justify.
Well, mainly because this was our first time that you're taking a plane to get where you're going. So it kind of adds a whole different level of kind of just like, okay, do we literally have everything we need? Because we're not anywhere close to home.
No.
And it's just kind of sets that mind frame, you're just completely on the opposite side of where your home actually is and where your friends and family are. So it just kind of puts that all into perspective as well, in my opinion. Totally. Yeah, it's like it's a different animal. So the maze thing, we're like, all right, we'll put that aside. It's a little higher level than we're ready for now. Pays to be humble sometimes, as well as it pays to be adventurous. So that leaves needles. Take a look at needles. Looks pretty awesome. It's called Needles because of the look of some of the rock structures out there, and we'll get into that. That's one of the things we'll leave for the video. But the erosion and all that, there's a lot of arches, hence Arches National Park. But then these needles are eroded in such a way that it looks like these just rows of sharp, pointy things sticking up in
air. It's crazy. So I'm like, all right, let's go here. So then I start researching that a little more, and it's kind of reminded me of Smoky Mountains National Park, where you had to reserve a campsite. Sarah just ate a cracker, and she pulled away from the mic, but I hope you still heard it. That was so animated.
You brought the crackers home. I can't not eat it.
At first, I thought you were doing some sort of dramatic. You threw your head back, but anyway. All right, yeah, the Smoky Mountains, most heavily used park in the country, and because of that, they have an online registration system. I go into it in a couple videos on my channel as well as a full hike video, but anyway. You go on there and it shows you if spots are available, and then you can register them, and it's like $3 a pop. But these are sites where, depending on the site, it might have 6 spots available. And if it's you and by yourself, there's 1 slot, and then maybe 5 other people can reserve as well. Or maybe it's, you're a couple, whatever the case may be, $3 a pop, and you might be with some other people. Now this, same idea, because there's certain zones where it's more popular and they want to kind of control things a little more.
And there's very specific where you can walk, and you'll get into that more.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Where you can obviously set up camp. It's just, they're very, which is good because it's such a delicate area that you just don't want people plopping. And it would have to be the majority of all tents, which is, you're then using up a lot of space.
No, and that totally makes sense. And I feel that way overall. Yeah. You have mixed emotions, Libertarian nutcase side of me is like, I want to go where I want to go.
Hey, I like being sense. Like, this is home. This is where we're heading to.
And no one else is going to be there.
Right. Instead of where you have to find your campsite, which sometimes, then the sun's setting, and you're like, but we still...
someone else is already there.
Yeah, we still don't... This is where we're thinking, but it's not really good at all, or it's still so far away. It's kind of nice knowing specifically where you're going, and that it's a designated area, and chances are it's going to be pretty good. And
plays back into that whole, at least for this trip, I just want things to go smooth.
Right, yeah.
So, now...
No night hiking.
Yeah, so that leads me into what I'm kind of setting up here, though. Instead of $3 a night, it was $30, which is like, oh my God.
You usually are like, sweet, let's go hiking, because then you don't have to pay for a
hotel room. So I was like, oh my God.
We're going to nature. We'll just bring everything we want.
$30. Like, it's not like I can't afford $30 after, or at least compared to flying out there, like, yeah, you should be able to spend $30, but it's like,
still, when you talk about like hiking and camping, you're like, wait, I still have to pay for that to be in nature? What do you mean?
But on the flip side, I guess they're trying to avoid people just booking out of safety.
Oh, that's true.
It might be so popular that people are just like, because in the Smokies, believe me, don't think that I didn't think about it. And I didn't do this. I lucked out when I went to the Smokies on a solo trip, and I got the spots to myself. One night there was another couple. One night the whole spot was to myself.
Yeah.
But for $3 a pop,
just take the
when there's 6 maximum people.
You're so rude.
Believe me, it crossed my mind that it was like, well, for $18 I can just book this whole thing.
You play nice in the forest here.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, so I researched some more. We're still on research, I know. But if you're hanging in this long on this podcast,
do it. You know you want to.
And you're probably
You're supposed to be drinking wine too, so
that's a good thing. Yeah, you should be drinking some wine and relaxing with this. But so I'm looking into it. I'm like, now I got it down to the needles. But I do want to backtrack real quick. So like the maze, just to point out a contrast, in the maze, because I think less people go there and there's no official trails. They don't even have official campsites.
Because there's no campsites. Did you not hear?
There isn't.
That is one of the top 10 most dangerous places.
Right.
There's you're not sleeping. You're just continuously walking to try to get out of the desert.
Okay, that might be it.
You're not sleeping.
So over in the maze, they just have a max amount of people in there per night from what I can see.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what the number is, but say it's 10. And they just...
How many people they can rescue in one day.
Once 10 people say they're going to be there, then that's it. And you go wherever you want. And then, I shouldn't mislead, outside of these higher higher popularity. Yeah, areas. There are spots where it's just like, hey, kind of like the White Mountains. Just here's the rules. Be this far from the trail. Just go in, do your thing.
Oh, that's true.
But these areas are higher population or popularity. I keep doing that. But whatever. So that's just the deal. So I'm like, where are we going to stay in here? Now, desert camping, for those of you kind of like us who've never done that before, we're on the East Coast where water, at least compared to this, much more plentiful. Certainly the concept, except for somebody who's never been backpacking before, they're surprised by this maybe. But for those of you who have at least researched backpacking or done it a couple times, you know that the idea of carrying all the water you need for the entire trip.
I couldn't.
You laugh at that. That's crazy. Somebody who's not familiar is like, yeah, so what do you do? Is there a water fountain? Do you carry all your water with you? And you're like, no. And that's usually true. You know, you got to plan a little bit. You can't expect to sleep on the peak of a mountain on the east and get water. Although, you know what? Sometimes you can. It's just flowing out of the
Carry it up there.
Yeah. But
what we do, fill up your dirty bags.
Right.
Carry it up.
There might be a stream within a mile.
That's what we did in Kentucky.
Exactly. But out there,
not enough, but we carried it.
In Kentucky, yeah. Out there, you'll see the signs at the parking lot trailheads. You better have some water.
Yeah.
Because it's game on.
For where we were, what did they have? They had the temperature listed right there at the what is that, like park station or Moab Visitor Center, I think it was, or Canyonlands, excuse me. And it said the temperature, and it said you had to drink what was it, like a gallon?
A gallon per person per day. Now, of course, that's probably during the warmer season, but yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Craziness. And there was the spigot right at the trailhead.
Right.
At least
that's right, which we didn't
went.
See until we came out.
There was like
but we were prepared. We had our water.
A pipe with the old school pump coming out of the ground at the parking lot. So it was like, hey, last call, buddy.
Yeah.
Grab something and fill it.
Yep.
So that's pretty different for us.
Or drink all of this when you come out if you didn't.
Maybe. You know what? It's like just you call them on spot on your satellite phone because there's no service out there. And you're just like, oh God, I'm dying. And they're like, all right, look, you got to get to the parking lot. Yeah. And then just drink everything out of the spigot.
Just lay in it and drink it.
But anyway, yeah, so that was a crazy difference. So I kind of went cheat code, and we get into this a little bit in the video, but I started researching, is there anywhere in Needles District that I can get some water?
Yeah.
And
we're not used to that mentality of hiking. I mean, I feel like that's a very different mentality. I'm sure people closer to these places in which we're discussing, I'm sure that's like second nature, just like ours would be with river and stream and water crossings. Yeah. Whereas that is just like, no, you just know you need to carry X amount and your pack's going to weigh this much.
Yeah, that's just how it is.
That's just what it is. And we're just not used to that. We just haven't done that. So,
And for those of you who don't know, every liter of water, 2.2 pounds. Every gallon, you can do the math. You're pushing up on 9, close to 10 pounds. So it adds up. Yeah. So anyway, I start looking around and I find somewhere called Lost Canyon. And there's a couple canyon areas. So you're up on these desert plains and there's these mazes around, which we get into in the video. So I'll spare you too much. But a mesa is like a big raised but flat area. It looks like a mountain. Oh, Sarah's feeding me. Is that Swiss?
No, that was cheddar. Okay. Cheddar and honey.
Swiss with cheddar. Bear with me. I was just thinking all this talk about water. My tongue started feeling really dry. Oh, no. And I was like, God, I need water. And now you're like, here, have some honey. Oh, God. Okay, so anyway, so there's these, why am I talking about mazes?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
No.
That's great.
I'm sure there was a reason.
There probably was. Oh, because of the canyons. So anyway, there's these big vista areas where you're either up on top of or looking at these mazes. And but there are situations where there's these canyons that you can go down into. And these are refuges for all of a sudden you see trees and green stuff and all this foliage, stuff that you haven't seen because everything is, there's a glass of water, thank you. Because everything is deserty looking.
Yeah.
And dried out.
And standing right on top of that was crazy to look down and see
into
it. Like you're on top of that desert and you're basically looking down into this lush looking,
but it's like in a pit.
An island, but
it's below the ground,
above it. Yeah,
it's like it's an island submerged pit. Oasis.
And it absolutely did look like an oasis. Exactly right.
Yeah, like
even just walking around it, you would just look over and you would just see these beautiful trees and the grasses and the sand. You're walking on sand. And you would literally just feel like you're in the middle of an oasis.
Yeah, so you're seeing these it's like you watch the old movies where they talk about Oasis and they get all out of control and they're so happy, but and then you're out there and you're like, oh, I get it. I get it. It doesn't even, I wasn't even dying of thirst and I was like, that looks amazing. We need to go towards that.
It was just so crazy having all of those different environments all within just like eye range. Like you look over to the left and up and there's, desert, and then right in front of you is
it's overload.
It's like lush. It was crazy.
Yeah. It was just crazy, like she said. So, so basically I say, all right, let's try to find a campsite within one of these canyons because from what I see, they have a bigger a bigger chance of having some water because stuff drains towards that. And then I started narrowing down even further from that, and I found Lost Canyon, which has along the whole trail within that canyon a pretty good chance or a semi-reliable water source from what I read.
And depending on rain.
Yes, throughout the year. And then in one particular, they had 3 campsites along it, about a mile apart, spaced. In one particular, Lost Canyon Campsite 2, LC2, which we're well aware of now, there was a pretty much reliable, or as good as it gets, water source. So I'm like, all right.
And side note, it rained a few days before we got there, thankfully, because I think...
that was luck.
Yeah, when we were talking to the park ranger, she had said it can dry up very fast, of course, as you know with deserts, but it had rained a few short days before we got there, so luckily there were some spots, and what we started to do the closer we got to our campsite when we were looking at the GPS is we started to mark water that we ran into, no matter how big, how small, we started just to mark it on the GPS. We geotagged it so that way, worst case scenario, we knew at least where something.
Yes.
Something was.
GPS came in handy.
Yeah, I mean, from puddles to the final water source in which we use, but I mean, you didn't know, so we just started marking it for worst case scenarios. We could cook with it if needed, and
Yeah, which actually brings me to my next thing. So I'm like, all right, that looks like a good spot. I'm an East Coaster. I'm going to stack the deck in my favor a bit with the water. So I go to book it, and luckily, I'm doing this about a month in advance.
Yeah.
3.5 weeks.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised. Spots
my gosh.
Oh, yeah. Spots are filling up. So a lot of the spots were already taken. There's like an Elephant Canyon or something like that. A lot of spots are already getting booked. 2 of the Lost Canyons are already booked. I'm like, damn.
Mm-hmm. Darn.
LC2 is open. So I grab it right away. $30 here, do it. Then now I'm excited that I got the campsite, so I research more, and because I know it's semi-reliable for all 3 of these campsites. But then I realize, oh shoot, I don't know why these people took LC1 and 3. I'm sure there's reasons for that too.
Right.
But for me, worried about water, LC2 is right next, or I should say closest to, the one water source that they say is pretty much reliable all year. And again, if you go there too, I mean, do your research. I don't know.
Hike in with,
Yeah, do it. So I go ahead and book it. Now I'm good. Now I'm booked. I go and I get a flight. I go ahead and match it up to be the same flight back that Sarah has.
Right.
So now my flight is booked. I'm super hyped and I'm ready to go. Which brings me to packing for a backpacking trip when you have to fly. Here's a whole nother section here. This is good stuff if you ever want to do this, or at least I hope it's helpful.
And if you have any suggestions, let us know, because obviously this was the first time.
Oh my God, yeah.
Doing it. So
yeah, this is all from
anything that you've done or have heard of, that works well, because we saw a lot of people. Didn't we see so many people with packs?
When we were at the airport.
It was so neat.
It's weird. It's like when you
be like amongst your others. You're like, oh, cool. Where are you going? Like, I just kind of wanted to talk to everyone.
I know.
It's like, what pack is that? What do you use? What is in there?
It's like when you buy a new car.
Yeah.
Like, say, a Nissan Versa.
A Nissan or a Jeep. No, we want to push Jeep, boo. Jeep, not Nissan.
Yeah. So say you buy a Nissan Versa or a Jeep. But anyway, you buy that car and then all of a sudden it's all you see on the road.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like all of a sudden at the airport it's always all. But I had always had this fantasy of just...
eating a cheeseburger?
Why are you doing that to me? I've been avoiding eating on mic. That's all right. There's calories in wine. Anyway, I always had this fantasy of just like solo hike, buy a ticket, because I'm always scanning for cheap flights, and I use
to wherever.
I'll do a whole nother thing on that, but I will tell you right now, I'm dripping honey everywhere. That's not what I meant to say. I will tell you, I did drip honey on the table. I will tell you right now, just Google ITA flight matrix, and it'll change your life as far as searching for flights if you're not too particular on where you're going.
Right.
You tell it where you're leaving from, Philadelphia Airport in my case, and it'll tell you lowest flights based on that, But anyway, so I'm...
Side note.
Yeah, side note. So, God, I have honey everywhere.
We should call them wine notes.
Wine note.
Wine note.
Right. So anyway, that's just a little random tip for you. But I'm searching through for flights. Where was I going before I told them about ITA? Packing.
And seeing everyone in the airport.
Oh, my fantasy of flying somewhere. So that's why ITA Flight Matrix came up. My fantasy was just like, hey, whatever's cheap, if I get the right deal, I want to get on a plane with no checked luggage. I want my carry-on item to... Sarah just dropped crackers, so we're even now. I want my carry-on item to be my backpack. And I want to get off that plane.
Right.
I want to get a cab to a trailhead, which is super ambitious.
I like how we did it.
Maybe I'll do a rental car. And then go do my trip, come back. Point of the story is carry on for my backpacking gear. And I know and I knew that would be a challenge, of course. And there's certain items you can't bring no matter what. But I really learned on this trip where we did have a check bag option because of the time between our two flights where it allowed me to have one checked item. That's tougher. Tougher than you think. Because right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, anybody who's planning on flying, I can tell you for sure some items that you're not bringing on that plane.
Tent spikes, which you need in the desert.
Yeah.
And tent poles,
I know.
which you need for your tent.
Which those are actually some that are gray area. What you can't bring for sure is fuel for your stove.
Right. Explosive.
Not even if you check it.
No.
It's not happening, or at least it shouldn't if they're doing their job correctly.
And you don't want a potential of it.
Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
So canned fuel, like the canisters, that's pressurized fuel. Not happening. Can't bring it. Esbit cubes, which you know that I love nowadays. Can't bring that. Not even check it. It's on the ban list. And then there's other items. Well, let's get into the fuel first. So we knew right off the bat.
Right. We're not even bringing it.
No.
Right.
And when I go on trips, and I get into this on the video and other ones too, but when I go on trips that are not solo, as weight conscious as I am, I want to just 2 people I'm cooking for, one of which is my wife, and I just want to hang out with her, and I'll carry an extra half pound, whatever. What do I have to do? And that's ditch the Esbit and the alcohol stove. I just do the canister.
And hanger is real, people.
Hanger's real?
Hanger is real. Don't think it isn't.
It's not.
Shit's serious.
It's not fake. It is real.
It is real.
So I already know for this.
Wine note.
Yes. I already know for this trip that I want to do canister stove. Can't bring the fuel.
Did you like that?
What are you doing? You're sniffing into the mic? So canister stove I want to do. That means we got to buy it when we get there.
Right.
You know, it's not the end of the world. Some people, it's like, oh my God, like I'll just do cold food the whole time. Like, go for it if you want to.
Good Lord, no.
But chances are...
Not with those temps at night.
There's a camp store or
Especially
a Walmart.
Utah.
Yeah, or a Walmart somewhere where you're going. So just Google in advance. So we Googled in advance. Now we're from the East Coast, so we did EMS. There was none out there.
Yeah.
And then we were like, oh, is it called Eastern Mountain Sports? Because it's not anywhere but the East. I don't know, but they didn't have any. So I said, do REI. I see people on the West Coast talk about REI all the time.
And it was literally less than 15 minutes to the airport. So I hit it.
The store?
Coming from Farmington. It's literally, so Farmington was maybe like 45 minutes from the airport.
That's like a suburb on the outside of Salt Lake.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then REI was like 15 minutes right from the airport. So I hit REI on my way to you on Wednesday.
Oh, perfect.
Picked up everything, and then it was only like 15 minutes to the airport.
There you go. So Sarah picks up the can of fuel.
New shirt.
And she bought herself a new shirt. She's a girl. And
and the second skin.
Second skin?
For my blister.
Oh, yeah. She had a blister, not from hiking, but from walking around in her Sperry's. But anyway, so she got some new second skin. So we knew in advance she was going to have to get the fuel when we got there. Now, if you're traveling by yourself, like I said, Google in advance, REI, EMS, Gander Mountain.
Walmart.
A lot of the people to backpack aren't hunters and stuff, and that's fine, but don't shut yourself out. There's places like Gander Mountain and Cabela's that will have stuff like this for you. They cater more towards car camping, but just search those 4 places.
And Walmart. You said Walmart.
Thank you. And Walmart. Oh my God, if you can't find a Walmart, and if you're going somewhere to backpack, it's probably rural. And if it's rural, they gotta have a backpack.
Or at least that you're flying into is probably going to be
and also a major area. Yeah. Go to Walmart, and they're gonna have that Gigapower stuff, and just get it.
Just get it. Just do it.
Just do that. Anyway, fuel's out of the way, but now I start looking online, and maybe some of you can tell me this. But you want to talk about mixed results on this. And here's what's ironic, and I know this from reading other people's opinions who tried to do the same thing as me in research. You go to the TSA site, and I don't know if they updated this. I really don't. But from what I was reading, they have guidelines for camping materials for carry-on as well as checked luggage. And you're like, that's great. And you know everything they list on there in the camping section? For tips directly from the TSA, everything except for anything pertaining to tents, shelter.
Yeah.
Kind of a big deal.
Right. If you want to sleep. Maybe they're all going to mazes where you're not sleeping.
I don't know. Yeah, mazes where you don't sleep.
Where you're just stressed out because you can't get out.
So I see when I Google so many people, they're like, they don't say anything about tents. What do I do? And people, I'm with you, because that brings into question tent poles, tent spikes. Tent body, big deal. It's like bringing a blanket or a pair of clothing. It's whatever. But the poles and spikes, I kept searching deeper and deeper, and mixed results.
Yeah.
It was either somebody saying, I get through with tent poles all the time. Big deal.
Or the last thing you want is
to
have them be like confiscated, and then you're like, well, what am I supposed to do?
You're screwed.
Yeah.
And then there's other people saying that, nope, they told me the tent poles were a potential weapon.
So bizarre.
And I couldn't bring them.
Well, same thing. So Philly, they say it's okay if I put my laptop and all my electronics in one bucket. This is very minimal compared to what we're discussing. But I mean,
Right.
you know, Philly says you can put it in one bucket. Then Salt Lake says, no, I need this separate from this to this to this to this.
Separate buckets. You don't know.
Each airport, yes, I feel like they have their general guidelines, but then they probably still have their own preferences too, which makes it very challenging because if you get through on one,
Right.
but then get stopped at, it just, I don't know.
Yeah. And then if you're traveling alone, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Oh, FedEx it to your friend?
Right.
You're in line for a flight that leaves in an hour.
Right.
Throw it out?
Yeah.
You spend a lot of money on
Can you just buy tent spikes or poles?
No, it's specific to your
But that's what I
tent.
mean. Like, could you just you couldn't even go and like pick up?
No. So I don't know. I didn't want to try it. So what we did was one check bag and we put tent poles in that.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing happened with spikes. You see people saying they got through security with spikes. And you see people saying, no, it's a sharp, pointy object.
Yeah.
And I kind of get that.
Sure.
I mean, I could do some damage with a tent spike.
Yeah.
And if they do let it through, I
I
kind of
wouldn't
want
want someone else
one.
to have tent
I kind of
spikes.
want one in case somebody goes
Yeah.
crazy. But anyway, so I'm like, I'm not bringing spikes. I'm not bringing poles. And then the fuel we can't bring at all. Sarah's getting that. And then stove.
Any stove material and the matches.
The stove, they actually do have some guidance for on the site. TSA site apparently, but it basically says it has to be 100% clean, no fuel residue whatsoever.
So brand new.
Yeah, basically.
Brand spanking new.
If you have a brand new stove in the box,
Bring it.
you are good to go.
Yeah.
Now that sounds kind of stupid, and it is, but for somebody doing a once in a lifetime trip, for instance, this is super expensive. I won't be doing this, but I read of people going to Mount Everest or something.
Oh.
No, that's like a $50,000 trip.
Sure.
And a lot of those guys, I see them, especially because it's a lot of people that have never really done anything before, which is a whole nother subject. But people like that, super
Those
wonderful.
Sherpas will take you out.
Yeah, they will
They don't care.
go to EMS, buy a brand new stove,
Sure.
and just bring it through. Who cares?
Makes sense.
But for most of
I feel
us,
like you might even want a brand new one for Everest.
yeah, maybe. I probably want to test it, but whatever.
I don't know.
But anyway, for most of us, you have a stove you used. They say you can clean it thoroughly. I don't trust that, and I see results again, mixed results. Some people saying no, you can't bring this, and some people saying I cleaned it really good and it worked. But just be aware they will swab for explosives, and I don't want to go through TSA with anything that seems like it's an explosive. Particularly Esbit cubes, so I wouldn't even bother trying to sneak that through.
Right.
So long story short, saw mixed results on that too, but I said I'm not bringing my stove. So we did a check bag for, at this point, tent, poles, spikes, and stove. Another item, there's something else in my mind. It's not.
Not the matches. Matches and lighter came on the check.
We checked. Oh, well, that's an offshoot.
What's that?
I'm pretty sure you can't bring lighters on a flight for carry-on.
I don't think so.
I accidentally brought one.
Did you?
Checked it. Remember, we found it.
In your...
The black Bic. Not even a mini Bic. A big old Bic.
It was on your...
Yeah, I brought it in my backpack by accident.
Shoot.
Which brings me to another thing. But anyway, so long story short, if you want to solo trip this, either look into it further and roll the dice, or I would say we ended up checking it. I've seen people, if you want to check your whole backpack, I did not do that. But what
I feel like I wouldn't want to do... I don't know.
you can obviously put your backpack in luggage, which is what we ended up doing with Sarah's backpack. We put it in an actual luggage, but do not check it by itself because our backpacks have mesh pockets on the outside. They have little hip belts, and especially if you're an ultralighter, it's not meant to be kicked around like that. And I've sat in the waiting terminal and just for fun watched people throwing luggage around outside the planes, and it's insane. So from what I've read is get a contractor industrial grade garbage bag, put your backpack in that, tie it securely, and just take it up to the counter like any other checked luggage, and they'll put a sticker on it and you're good to go. So that's that. So other than that, I had my backpack, but it was full of stuff that I wasn't worried about. Clothing, pre-sealed food, the actual tent body, stuff like that. So now I'm ready to go. Although I must say, I got really nervous like the day of. Do you remember that?
Right, I do.
So you're already out there.
Yeah.
What's wrong with my glass?
Stop eating that cheese that's like covered in honey sitting on that board.
All right, I'm going to eat this piece of cheese.
You're going to need to eat.
I need to eat. You put some wine in that glass. What was I talking about?
You got nervous.
Yeah, it was really weird. Uh-oh, I'm chewing.
It's fine.
You talk.
They don't mind. I can't talk about how you got nervous.
Go ahead. Tell them how I got nervous.
I don't know how you were feeling.
I'm chewing.
Or maybe we'll talk and chew. Who cares? They can't see you. It's still polite, right?
I'm still... Oh, now it has honey on it. I'm very dry mouth.
Oh, my
I'm going to
Lord.
drink some water.
He's waving at me to keep talking. I don't know what to talk about. You got nervous. And cue. Go.
Yeah, so the day of, I've traveled for like work and stuff where you have a stupid not even check bag, carry-on bag with one day of work clothes, whatever. I know everything's good. Not nervous. I'm still like, I hope this goes well, but...
Well, and if anyone out there obviously is a hiker or backpacker, you tend to start to live out of your pack, and sometimes you won't completely empty it. So sometimes I think you were also feeling that you're like, oh my God, is this completely like kosher? Is this...
That's what it was.
Is there anything in here that I accidentally missed? Like, you get so used to just kind of keeping the stuff in your pack in which you might need. So it just, I think that was one of...
That I know that's
like,
what
wait,
it was.
did I go through it thoroughly?
I know that's what it was because I'm at work. So I'm at work and my flight... I'm working that day. I want to use minimal vacation time. I took one day off. I'm working that day and I'm like, oh my God. Now I'm like, all right, I got to leave work and go get this flight.
Go right to the airport.
Start having all these horrible fantasies. Is it an anti-fantasy? Where it's like, James called.
Ah.
Got a phone call.
Hey, Jamie.
Hi, James. Start having these horrible anti-fantasies where it's like, there's going to be a knife I forgot about.
Right.
There's going to be
a tent spike.
A round of ammunition that I found about.
Right, a bullet.
Which, by the way...
you don't want to take through to the airport.
Which, by the way, did end up out there.
A bullet?
Yeah.
Stop it.
Not on
You're telling me all this now.
I just thought of this. Not on my carry-on.
Oh, okay, good.
But I put in the check luggage my front pack that I wear around my front. And I usually carry self-defense items in there. And I'm out in the desert and I was like, oh, here's a single 40 cal round.
Which another thing that I didn't enjoy, we couldn't carry. We could have, but we've never gone through the process of checking
firearm.
Right. So that was different. Camping and hiking without a...
Yeah, that was... Yeah, we haven't done that in years.
Yeah.
And I know nothing's probably going to happen, but I mean, if we're just used to...
Still, it's a mindset, people.
Yes.
Damn it.
Just used to having it. But anyway, we didn't do that this flight, so... I had my one bullet that was in that.
Thanks
so
for my luggage.
I can... Well, no, you can check.
He's setting me up.
No. You can... for check luggage, you can bring up to like 20 pounds of ammunition or something. But you do not want to get onto the passenger cabin with ammunition. So I have these weird fantasies like, oh no, I'm going to have like a bullet I forgot about or a knife or even a lighter, which apparently I accidentally brought on there anyway and they shouldn't have let it. But all right.
Squirreled away.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about that, but we do it. So that brings us basically back to where our stories meet. So I leave work that day. I get on the plane by myself, of course, with my carry-on backpack with all my items. Everything's fine except for the lighter that apparently neither I nor the TSA realized, or maybe you're allowed to have it. I don't know. And then I land in Salt Lake, and here we are. Now I am here. I meet you at the car rental place.
Yep.
because you drop off your car rental
Yep.
that work paid for.
Yep.
Because you're on work business. And then we pick up
our personal
car that we paid for personally. And it's like 8 o'clock at night. Right? So now we got to drive. Like I said, we're going south to Moab. Right?
Right.
About 5 hours. No, I'm sorry. Moab is 4 hours south. And Sarah's doing a slow yawn. She's doing a slow yawn. And you were like, please don't call this out. Am I boring you?
No. It's a work day, son.
It's a work day. We do the slow yawn. We do the
slow yawn
drive.
together when we get to the airport.
I booked a hotel. I knew Moab was...
Oh, because we wanted a majority of or not a majority, excuse me, the major part of the drive that can be so pretty.
Right.
We wanted that to be during the daytime in which we could see it. And certainly sun sets at like 6, 7 p.m. at this point. So by the time you're at airport, your flight comes in, it's like 7, 10. So we wanted to make sure that we could see most of the Moab and the pretty drive for that next day. So we got a place in, what was it, Greens something.
It was Green River, Utah.
Oh, Green River. Which the river is indeed green, but we didn't see it because it was dark.
But it is green.
Day and night.
And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for the Green River. I looked that up, but I don't remember it right now, which is fine. But yeah, so we decide Green River, Utah is where we're going to go because it's only a 3-hour drive. Which you did mention while I was pouring wine, I think, right?
Yes.
Yes. So we'll drive there. That means we get there around 11:30, which we do.
Why is the Green River green? I want her to talk.
Why is it not talking? Google.
She's so mean.
Is your volume down?
No.
Well, what does it say? Why is the Green River green?
Hold on. I don't know.
You don't know?
I need to look it up.
All right. Well, if you find out,
Okay.
jump in and let me know. I'll keep going with our friends here who have hung in with us for an hour now on this craziness. All right. So we go to Green River, Utah. There's apparently some river rafting and stuff around here. But for the most part, it's about an hour outside of Moab. But I figure good timing, and we're going to get up and drive the next day anyway. So we get to a little truck stop kind of area there. We sleep there. We wake up the next morning, get up around 7. I go outside. Why did I go outside? To get something out of the car?
Yeah. The laptop, because we needed to pay the mortgage.
Yeah. And the day before, it's like 70-ish, 80
oh my gosh,
degrees,
so
right?
Cool. Remember when we brought the laptop back in, there was
that's what it was.
all over the laptop because of the heat from the hotel room and then the coldness out there. There was so much water over the laptop.
And that's when it hit me. Going out to the trunk of the rental car and getting the laptop. And I was like, oh my God. This is the desert. It may be warm at high noon, but it is so cold right now.
Which I experienced when I did that Skyline Drive. When I was getting out and taking pictures, it was so cold.
And you were 3 hours north in Salt Lake, and same idea.
It was like 80, 85 during the day.
Right, and then at night.
It was cold.
It was cold.
Especially up there when I got back down to, the hotel level.
Yeah.
It was fine, but up there on top, it was like, whoo.
Ooh, yeah. So I start thinking like, all right, I did my research. I knew about the temp swings.
Still did not bring, what didn't you bring? Your long johns and what else?
My what?
Long johns.
What is that?
Long johns.
Say it the...
Long johns.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't bring...
And/or gloves, right? I made you bring your hat. I was like, no, you're going to want that.
I brought my knit. It's like an ultralight, synthetic, but it's the equivalent of like a ski cap.
Yeah.
I did bring that because I like to sleep in that because I use a quilt instead of a sleeping bag with a hood.
Goodness, you did.
But I didn't bring long underwear.
Long johns.
What?
Long johns.
Right. So I didn't bring that.
No, wait, we called them meggings. Now you have to watch the video because it's meggings. Meggings.
Why is it called meggings?
Man leggings.
There you go. So I'm like, man,
Why
I'm
not?
second guessing that because it's bitter.
Yeah.
It's bitter cold.
Yeah.
But it's a dry cold.
No, it's cold.
Bitter cold. So I'm like, no, I got to find a Walmart. Speaking of Walmarts, but now we're really out there.
Yeah, we're in like...
We start Googling.
There's nothing around us.
I'm like, we got to stop somewhere. So I'm like, you know what? Moab will have a sporting goods
Wasn't
store.
it just like an adventure store that we went to?
It's called like an adventure store.
Yeah, they were doing canoes out of there. It was basically like it's one of like the high end.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was like, we'll find something in Moab, but it's not going to be cheap, and it's going to be name brand. It's going to be nice, but it won't be cheap.
It's going to be your North Faces. What are some of the others?
I ended up with Patagonia.
Yeah.
Normally,
Excuse me, I have a text message.
I've done some legit -20 New Hampshire trips with Long Johns or what is it called?
Meggings or Long Johns?
There's too many options there.
Which one are you referencing?
I've done some. I've done some legit trips.
Let's stick with Meggings to circle back to the video that everyone needs to watch.
I've done some legit trips with just stuff right off of Amazon for probably $15-20.
Yeah.
But we go there, and of course they only have like name brand Patagonia. So I get my pair for like $45 or something. Although, you know what? I hate to say it, but they're so awesome.
Yeah.
They're so nice.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have them the rest of my life.
And I told you, and I was like, it's not like if it was something like I was buying, I'm not necessarily going to do so many trips that are going to require that. But you are going to be doing a lot of trips where you're going to get the use out of it. So why not? It's not like you're not...
I do it all.
Unless you get like enormously fat and you can't fit them anymore. That's the only time you would need
that would be
to upgrade your Meggings.
Yes. Yeah. So I buy those. We go next door to a little Moab coffee.
Coffee? Are you from Boston?
Boston. That's what I was going to say.
Coffee
shop. So we go next door to a coffee shop. I don't know what it's called, but that's when we realized what you said earlier.
What is it called? That place was Love Muffin.
Was it Love Muffin?
Love Muffin. Oh my God. Seriously. Okay.
So tell them about it and the people you encountered.
Why no? Because this is more of like the Sarah's stuff for the trip. Love Muffin. That food though. Holy mother of all that is holy. That food was so banging. So good. So we went to Love Muffin, which again, everyone is leaving at like, noon to 1-ish to venture off into whatever fun adventure that they're doing. Yes. Yeah. As well as, the people there. But yeah, that food was so good. And the adventure store was right down the street, but we needed to stop and get some coffee as well as some breakfast. So because the amazing hotel that my husband booked the night before did not have anything.
They had a bed.
They had nightstands that were
water.
Stuck to the... Weren't they nailed into the wall? The nightstands?
The nightstand was...
And the lamp was attached to some weird wood thing. I don't know. And someone was playing Hangman on the mirror. It's not cute.
It was $45 plus tax.
It was something.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So
but yes,
what?
Love Muffin is the place.
Yeah.
Food porn
coffee shop. So everybody there is like
so
a skater or BMX person in Moab. Although they're even middle-aged, older, but they're still wearing the skate DC
you can tell they're
hat.
probably doing end day hikes and who knows, yeah.
That's just life there. It was a very cool vibe.
Yes.
I liked it. So
Ditto.
Anyway, so we go across the street, we get gas. We get a bunch of water, bottled water from the 7-Eleven.
And the big ones that fit in my pack.
Yes, right. Yeah. Which we get into the video. Because she has a different type of pack with different pockets. But anyway, so we get on the road. Now we got another hour and a half from Moab down to the Needles district. But it was cool because now the sun's out. And, oh God, we should mention too.
Oh, the sun.
Leaving Green River. Did you ever find out why it's green?
No, I gave up.
I need to work on that.
I got distracted.
Leaving Green River, the angle of the sun in the desert. Another thing that I should have probably looked up. The angle was crazy, and it's just blinding.
Yes.
It's just in your eyes, And I know what you're all saying. I've driven and I've seen sun in my eyes. I get it. We all slow down. No. If you're from the East Coast or anywhere similar, it's a whole nother animal. It was ridiculously blinding. The sun is no joke in the desert out there. But anyway, so we leave from Moab and we're cruising. We got about an hour and a half drive, like I said. Arches National Park is now behind us. We haven't touched that, nor have we touched Wasatch National Forest, which I'll get to later. But we're just right towards Canyonlands and Needles. Now, at this point, actually that morning is when I realized that in my rush to go to the airport, I never printed out our confirmation permit from the Park Service, which you need a printed paper copy. It specifically says, do not try to show us your phone. You need a printed signed copy. So me being, I need everything, every duck in a row, everything in an order.
Which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, but I'm just like stressing out way too much about this. It ended up being a happy accident, I think.
Yes.
Because we drive down there and we're cruising along and we get into the Needles district and it's really cool. We're on this highway. You turn off and it gives you a warning.
Yeah.
It says, hey, hope you got enough gas for the next 34 miles. And the next possible thing is is it Needles Outpost?
Yes.
Needles Outpost.
Which is on the video.
So I believe it's it's on the video. We won't get into it too much, but I believe it's some private land that is kind of close to the park.
Holy moly, good for them.
Right? So you drive and you're in the park.
And let me tell you, so if you come out of there needing and fiending for any sort of food, we went there before we got in there, but coming out, they have like all the really good stuff that you want when you leave. There was there's like Chef Boyardee, there was like Pringles. There's like
and the fuel.
Oh yeah.
Just to let anybody know, we did the right things, or Sarah did. She went to REI, and granted, it was double priced. It was like $8 instead of $5, but whatever.
Convenient.
Just before the main entrance to the Needles district, you can get yourself some canister fuel. So if you're flying in like we did and you're in a pinch, you can buy some fuel and some Chef Boyardee. And if you got yourself a stove,
and you can shower there.
Oh, they have showers. Yeah.
Some dollar, like there's like a handful of dollars or whatever, like $2 or something.
Yeah. You're good to go. So we stopped there. We didn't need gas, thankfully. It was $4 a gallon.
Oh yeah, which we filled up for like one something. I feel like
close to $2.
Yeah.
So I mean, gas prices change all the time, but just to let you know, expect 1.5 to double price.
Absolutely, except for the drinks.
Yeah, they tried to charge us too little for the drinks there, but to put that in perspective for the gas, when we went into the bathroom, it kind of hit me because above the toilet. It said, like, please be respectful with the water. Use only what you need.
They bring everything.
We haul everything in. So they're hauling everything into this little desert outpost.
Which probably can't be cheap. So you got to pay for that.
No. So even the water for the toilet, they're bringing in on a tanker.
So I didn't even have to flush?
What is it? If it's yellow, let it mellow?
Stop it.
Right?
No.
If it's brown, flush it down. I believe that's what. You never been to somebody's house? My grandparents
did they
had a
that's cute.
Their water was from a well, and they had a septic tank or whatever. I won't go into this too far, but I swear they had a sign. It said
next podcast, join us for the septic tank.
It's something to the effect of that. So I imagine in the middle of the desert, it's same idea. But anyway, so we stop there. We get a Monster. I get a Monster. You get some water. We cruise in.
Because I'm just trying to stay hydrated. This MFR is, I don't know, not being hydrated. My Monster.
It wouldn't do it for you?
No.
Yeah, she doesn't drink the Monster unless it's
I'm a Dover Mimosa.
Mimosa Music Festival. Yeah, so anyway, we drive in, we at the entrance gate, we pay our fee, we do all that stuff. Now I got to go in because I didn't pay my fee. Or I'm sorry, I paid my fee, but I didn't print the stupid
and we still needed to pay the park
entrance fee because nobody was at the gate. So they're like, just go here anyway. So I'm like, all right. I go in, and it ended up being pretty cool, I think.
Yes.
Because in front of us, like you said earlier, there was somebody who just wanted a day use permit for jeeping.
Right.
And we got to hear them explain to them why that is, because they have large groups of Jeeps go through and all this stuff. And then we saw some other people, mostly day use people that were driving around the park. But by print, it was no big deal. I was like, I didn't print my pass.
No. Mm-mm.
It's like, she was used to it.
Yeah,
She's like, okay, I'll print it out for you. And while we were there, she explained to us stuff that's on the video. What
is it called? Shoot. What is it called?
The biological...
Oh, shoot. What in the heck? What is it called?
Biological crust?
The crust!
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she said, don't step on the crust.
Yeah.
Stay on the paths only.
Yeah, because there's this crust.
And I thought, what is this crust? But it is everywhere.
We ended up seeing it.
It is everywhere.
And if you can see it, it's been there for millions of years. If you can't see it, it's been there from anywhere from 0 to 50 years.
Yeah, still a long time.
It's crazy. It's like this level of stuff, nitrogen and other little bits and pieces of stuff, and it's like this little crust that blankets everything, and it traps seeds so stuff can grow. But anyway... she taught us about that, and she went over some of the regs, and she gave us the good tip. I said, I hear there's water where we're going, and she was like, you're lucky. There was some thunderstorms and flash flooding 1 or 2 days before.
Yeah.
So we were in good shape.
And she told us about the bears that generally come down to the area in which we were going.
In the fall,
but since it was... Well, no, they come down in, like, the summer. Because we were there in the fall.
I think she said by then they weren't there. But the bears come down from the higher regions, and they follow rivers, obviously, the major rivers, and then the other smaller creeks and stuff. They'll follow those looking for food, and they will actually end up in these desert areas, which you wouldn't expect, but black bears. But where we were in particular, she said it at least hasn't been reported. Not a problem.
No one had seen any droppings or whatever they call it.
Oh, right, yes, a bear scat. But it is possible to see some black bears when you're in Canyonlands, which is interesting. But anyway, so she told us all that. We hopped in the car, and then we... one more thing, and then we'll skip the backpacking because that's for the video. Yeah. But while we're driving in, it was interesting because the car camping spots.
Oh.
Can you fill them in on...
So we're driving into which, everything around me is just insane looking. So I'm just soaking that all in. And we're driving into the parking lot, which I'm assuming is the parking lot. I'm like, but what are these campsite? There's people camped literally in that parking lot in which
on
they
the
have,
road.
That have car camping spots. So there's like tents all set up. There's people's just like lounge chairs hanging out. And,
car parked like 30 feet away.
Some cars are parked, some cars are not there, but their stuff's still up. So perhaps they went and day hiked, somewhere. But it was literally right at the trailhead, I guess. But that's where they had that sign in the water faucet that we had referenced. If you're dying and coming out of the desert and need some water immediately, get there. But they had that sign that said, do not wash your dishes there. So it was like a legit car camping area that was like, please don't waste this water for just like cleaning your dishes. And they had bathrooms right there and everything too. But the car camping was right there. And we saw people with RVs that were hanging out with their like awnings out and everything,
And each spot has a legit picnic table, a place to pull your car up on pavement.
Yeah.
And it's literally 30 feet off the road. Mm-hmm. And at first you're like, oh, that's weird. You're right on the road. But the more I thought about it after we left...
how spaced apart do you think they were? I can't picture.
At first gut...
It's not enough.
Response. I want to say not enough. But then it leads into the next thing I'm going to say. Maybe it is.
Yeah.
It feels like it's not far, but you figure most of the people in that park who aren't staying overnight, they're driving in, they're gone by like, a couple hours before sunset. Right. And maybe they stay for sunset.
And we saw a lot of people, doing the day trip to the top of that like canyon overlook that we were coming out on. Remember, we saw the group of older awesome hikers that were just going up and doing that like phenomenal view.
Probably from the car sites.
Yeah. And some of them were hiking down into the canyon, but there was a few that just stayed, and I think a few of them that were heading there too. It was a little bit of a climb up, but I think that's probably where people kind of did their like view and like day hike, and then come back to like their car camp. So you can do a bunch of different day hikes kind of spiraling from that area, or drive and go to another part of the Canyonlands.
That's true too. Yeah, I mean, what hit me on the drive out, because this is fine because we're skipping the backpacking part because it's in the video, but we had amazing views at night of the stars.
Yeah.
I mean,
just epic.
You can see the Milky Way and just...
I saw 5 shooting stars. 5.
She's not lying.
5 of them, people.
And every time it happened, I was looking somewhere else. Except one time when I went to hang the bear bag.
Oh, yeah.
By myself, I finally saw...
It was so cool.
A shooting star.
And it was just so... Like, the sky was just completely lit up. And like you said, just the galaxies and the Milky Way that you could see that... With city lights and such, it gets diluted and you can't see it. But so many, I mean, it started a little bit, and then I feel like each time as the night just continued to creep in, it just got brighter and brighter and brighter.
The stars in the sky.
Just so many just kept coming out. It was almost like you felt like your eyes were like tricking you, but
it was crazy.
But they weren't, and we laid there on that rock for so long
just staring up.
Stared at it. It was just so cool, and I tried to take pictures and.
Yeah.
Darn LG didn't work.
No, but that there's like, I say giant relative to the country, no, but there's a pretty big area, I believe, that between Colorado and Utah, I forget the name of it, but it's like a sky preservation area where they basically are very conscious of light pollution and stuff like that. And it pays off, man, because you're out there. And you can see so well. But the whole point of me saying this is we saw that and it was amazing. And when we're leaving and we're driving out, and these spots, these car camping spots, they're right off of the road that previously I had droned.
They call them Dark Sky Preserve.
Okay.
Is an area usually surrounding a park or observatory that is kept. Hold on. Google doesn't want me to continue to read it. That is kept free of artificial light pollution. The purpose of a dark sky preserve is generally to promote astronomy. Because different national organizations have worked independently to create their programs, different terms have been used to describe the areas. This has led to confusion between the terms reserve, preserve, and park. The International Dark Sky Association, IDA, chooses reserve to avoid confusion with park. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So dark sky preserves enables high quality astronomical observation in Paranal Observatory. Wow.
There you go. It's a whole nother level.
Very cool.
Preservation.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't know that. That was something that you taught me. As many things you teach me.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, my goodness.
But yeah.
There's one in Quebec. Or Quebec.
Quebec. Once you go to Quebec, you can start saying Quebec.
That was the first site to be recognized in 2007 as an international dark
Quebec?
sky reserve. Mm-hmm.
Really?
They also recognized Natural Bridges National Monument in Utah as the world's first international dark sky park.
Oh, this is an international thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that was one of the first ones in Utah and then Quebec.
Okay. So there you go.
Canada, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine. So I think I was saying, so on the way in, I'm like scoffing, blah, blah, blah.
Learning new things.
But I still was trying to be nice, but I will admit, part of me was like, I'm about to walk into this. Like, I wouldn't want cars. You see a road and a tent site right there. You picture cars driving by you. But on the way out, I realized, like, nobody's driving by you in the middle of this park in the middle of the night.
No.
And in the grand scheme of things,
looking at the sky.
Exactly. In the grand scheme of things, these people at that site that I scoffed at were probably a mile, let's even call it 2 miles, which is way too much. But let's call it 2 miles away from where we were. Looking at the same sky, with the same dark sky preservation going on. I mean, honestly, from their car camping spot, they had the same mind-blowing view that we had.
Yes.
So, pretty cool.
One note. So I'm on Facebook looking at, so I follow, and if you don't already, do it because I love looking at their nature photos. U.S. Department of the Interior, and they're at Canyonlands National Park.
Really?
Posted 2 hours ago from Moab. The sunset illuminates the dollhouse at Canyonlands National Park in Utah. It's a beautiful photo. Sorry, anyway.
That's on Instagram?
No, this is Facebook.
Oh, Facebook.
U.S. Department of the Interior.
Oh.
Follow them, people.
My wife.
Cool nature porn.
Government operative.
No, they post amazing photos, and every time I see a cool photo, I make note of where it was, and I add it to my list.
There you
of
go.
Places I would like to adventure.
There you go. Add it to the list. So, anyway, yeah, so that's my spiel on that. So,
yes.
No more judgment. Whatever you got to do, it looks amazing. Yeah. So we do our backpacking trip.
Perhaps people are taking week vacations there, and they do like a different day hike each and every day.
Someday I want to live out of an RV, and I want to go there, and I want to do that because the spots look like you can pull.
They're big. Yeah.
We saw Volkswagen Golfs, and we saw giant
RVs
and pop-up campers and everything. But so anyway, we do our trip, which will be in the video. And then we hike out, and just one night. It was amazing. I'm like holding back from talking about all that, but it was super cool. And it'll all be in the video. So then we hike out, and we get out by lunchtime.
Yeah.
I think we were back to the car by 12. Before 12, right?
Between 12 and 1.
Yeah. So now we're like cheeseburger time. Let's do this. Mm-hmm. So we go towards Moab. And we go to Moab, and we hit a place for a cheeseburger. It was the brewery?
Moab Brewery.
Thank you. And we get a burger there, and the beers were great. I love the beers. The burger was good. It wasn't like some places I go where it's a hand-formed burger.
Yeah.
It was.
I think that first place that we had walked into, but they didn't serve. That's where I tried to go. But they didn't serve. Like, you had to go to the counter and you ordered, and, we kind of wanted a place you sit down, you have a beer, you enjoy your burger and your fries and everything. And but that place, we'll definitely have to go. What was that? It was like Moab. I can't remember. I think it was like Moab Burger Company or something.
It really was. And I think. We probably should have went there because, I was seeing...
But you were feeding something else, and that's okay.
Handmade burgers and even exotic meats.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
I'm not even talking buffalo, but I'm talking like...
It was Moab Burger Company and the Atomic Lounge. So they had like a dressy lounge to the right, and then Moab Burger Company,
It's not where we went, but where we thought we were going.
Yeah, we went to the brewery, which was also...
But the Moab Burger Company... what does it say on there? Like the crazy burgers they have? I feel like they had some...
There was like an elk, there was buffalo...
Yeah. Elk. That's what it was. It was elk. Yeah. I had antelope burger one time. It was, oh my God.
Was it elk? Yeah. I'll pull it up.
I had antelope burger in Pennsylvania. It was amazing. It was mind-blowing. But anyway, so we went there, but then the vibe was like... It's hard to describe.
Now I want a burger.
Yeah. It would have been amazing, but it's just like... You almost feel snobbish saying it, but when I get out of the woods... I look forward to, especially when I'm with friends, and I know we want to talk, and we want to talk about what we did, and
look at your photos.
We want to get on the internet, and
beef, buffalo meatloaf, pulled pork, they have veggie, but it was buffalo. But I thought you saw an elk one.
There was something else, except from time to time. So I like to go to somewhere kind of with a sit down, more. Have a waiter or waitress and table service, stretches the meal out a little bit, a little more time to play around and talk and post some photos and stuff. And when we got there, it looked like kind of an order at the counter and then go sit down thing. Sarah was starving.
I was hangry at this point.
You were hungry.
Because we didn't, side note, you'll see it in the video, but we didn't eat breakfast that morning.
Right.
We kind of just ate like a bar on like the run, but we didn't really have our breakfast, and then we had like another bar. So by the time we got out, like we really hadn't had necessarily a meal, and I run on a lot of food, and that was not cutting it. Yeah. So by the time we got out and
first of all, smelled it. Oh my God. Do you remember when we pulled up into the parking lot?
No, we parked in the parking lot. It's a gravel.
So good.
It's a gravel lot.
Just the smell. And then you're like, no, this isn't what I was picturing. I was like, oh my God, but it smells so good.
It's a gravel lot. You pull in. It's this little spot, nondescript on the side of this desert road, not far outside of Moab.
Just pumping burger smell.
Everywhere. Behind it, there's like giant, it's probably 4,000 foot. I'm not even exaggerating because I want to say 8, but it's 4,000 foot pile of boulders.
Yeah.
It's that look that you have out there where like out here would be a mountain and out there it's a mountain too.
Right.
But you're like, that had to be made by like bulldozers because it's a pile of rubble.
Right.
So anyway, there's a big pile of rubble behind it. It reminded me of Fallout New Vegas. For anybody who's played that, I don't know why I was thinking of that. But it was so amazing. But then we go in and it was just like, it's the wrong vibe. And then I tell Sarah, I want to go somewhere where we can sit and be waited on. like the stuck-up post king and queen that we apparently think we are. Or I think we are.
Fine with that.
She was fine. I don't know. I just wanted to sit down.
That's okay.
But anyway, so we drive away. And that was good, right? It went really smooth.
That was a good drive away.
Yeah, I mean, we had a really friendly conversation in the car.
So friendly.
It was a very loving conversation.
What relationships are all about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There weren't any F-bombs dropped.
No, we're the perfect couple, and that drive away from food after being in the desert
made so much sense to me.
It was a very cordial conversation. But anyway, we drive to the other place. We get to the Moab Brewing Company, you said. And it was cool. The ambiance, decor, whatever, was fun. They had like hang gliders and BMX guys with dummies. And they brew their own beer, so that was really cool.
Yeah.
The burger, like I said, it was good. We were starving, but it was definitely... I'm not saying that to disparage them, but only because I've had a ton of burgers.
From local cool, like, little cities.
So as soon as I saw the plate before it hit the table, I was like, if you see hard 90-degree angles on your burger, you know that, and I worked in food service.
It was a preformed.
You know it was a preformed hockey... Preformed. It was a preformed hockey puck, as we call it, burger. But it was a quarter pound. It was fine. But to their credit, which most people don't do, they cooked it correctly.
Yeah.
I asked for medium, it really was. But anyway, it's not like in Vermont when I went and got a buffalo burger and that thing was hand formed. It was all imperfect. Oh, it was great.
And the whole time, literally, as soon as I finished my burger, I'm fiending to get out. I'm fiending to go. I want to go to Arches.
So that brings us to the next thing. So we're sitting there.
I'm done being back around people. I want to go back out and see more amazing stuff because...
As fun as that was, and I think you posted a couple Instagram pics to catch up with your friends, but like... And you love that, and you put a lot of effort into it, just like I do the videos.
Hashtag Sarah's Great Adventure.
I know, but you're not public.
I'm not.
You're not.
I'm not.
You're not.
Search it anyway, people.
Yeah, hashtag.
Take a fucking look at it.
Oh my goodness. Well, I swear I'm not editing this, so. So anyway, so we leave there, and now we're going to Arches National Park. Our trip is coming to an end. We have the next day, our flight is at 3 o'clock. And by now it's 2:30-ish.
For what, on Friday?
When we're at the burger place.
Yeah.
And we're 4 hours south of our hotel, which is right by the airport. But we're like, I'll ask you people, do you think that we drove directly to Salt Lake City, got there by 7 o'clock?
Like reasonable folks.
And maybe had a sensible dinner at a chain restaurant like TGI Fridays and woke up early and went to the airport?
Absolutely not.
No. So...
We don't roll like that.
Oh, wow. Check you out. So, no.
I'm about getting every single minute out of every single day.
Yes, remember, this is a 3-day weekend.
Mm-hmm. and in a place that is not where I live.
And we squeeze it out of a work trip. I love it. So, so we start driving north. But it's only a couple minutes because we're in Moab and Arches National Park is about 5 minutes away.
I need to get my phone charger.
Sarah's getting our phone charger, so I will continue to blab. So we start driving, or cough. Oh, maybe my whole segment is just them listening to me cough. All right. So we start driving north of Moab, going towards Arches. Doesn't take long. We get there. There's these big signs up, like the construction signs, but they say like a message. And it's like, oh boy, you're in for a wait. I don't know if you remember that, Sarah, if you can hear me upstairs.
What is it?
The signs that were like, yeah, you're pretty much in for major traffic.
However, so by the time we got there, what time was it? Like 3? So by the time we got
4.
there, it was like 3.
No, yeah, 3, yeah.
3:30. Sorry. So we see a lot of people coming out because most of the people I feel like are potentially doing day trips.
Right.
There. So luckily.
I have to pee so bad, and Sarah keeps not letting me leave.
No, I'm not.
I feel like you can tell the story by yourself.
No, absolutely not. You won't pee when we end.
No, you're gonna do this.
No, I'm not.
No.
Then I'll stop talking.
No, tell them about.
No.
Tell them about. All right.
So we get there and we see so many people coming out. So luckily, it was more crowded than we're used to, but I think the timing worked well because we weren't there for morning rush. I can imagine the morning, so many people are probably going into
sure.
to do day hikes, to drive, because you can drive the whole thing, which I'm sure is so beautiful too. So I think a lot of the people that we saw leaving were doing like a drive of the park.
Yeah.
And then we're leaving, or perhaps came out, or I don't know. I don't think any of them were hikers, but there's a lot of climbers that go to that park too. We saw a lot of people climbing.
God, on the way out.
Crazy.
No, wait. That was on the way out of Moab. No, Canyonlands.
Oh, that's right. That was Canyonlands. So yeah, no. No one can climb in Arches. What am I talking about?
Maybe not.
Absolutely
I don't know.
It's actually a no-fly zone over Arches National Park because the actual booms of the airplane can tend to
sonic boom.
The sonic booms can actually destroy the delicate arches.
Wow.
So it's a no-fly zone.
Right.
So, but anyway, yeah. So a lot of people are coming out, and we're going in, which is good. But we have a purpose that we want to go. And how deep are we getting into the story? Because that's on some of the video too. Yeah.
Where? No, not really.
Yeah, we filmed.
We did a little
Listen
bit.
to me, I'm like, yes, we filmed. It's going in.
No, we will. And tell them whatever you want.
So we had a specific arch in which we wanted to see because in Arches National Park, what is it? Over 2,500 arches in the whole national park. So
crazy.
Obviously, they're literally for a half a day. Pick one. Like I wanted to see the one that's on the license plate. It's one of the most well-known arches, if you will, and it's called Delicate Arch. Mm-hmm. So I want to say it was roughly about halfway from when you first drive in.
Yeah, it was like middle.
Yeah.
It was like a big road from the gate to the end.
Yeah. Arches National Park. So we went to go see... Oh, no, not just National Park.
She's Googling.
So we wanted to go see Delicate Arch. So, which was great. And when we researched it, it said it was just a little bit, a little stroll. What was it? Like maybe a mile? I can't even.
For Delicate?
Yeah.
Was it a mile and a half
Over
each way?
2,000 natural stone arches, in addition to hundreds of soaring pinnacles, massive fins. Yeah, it's just an amazing park.
Yeah, all we have out here...
Like, if you haven't gone there and you don't want to hike in it, just drive it because you can see so much from the road. I mean, we didn't even legit, hike. We did that little quick day hike, if you will, up to Delicate. And so we're sitting there. So many people. We get there. Again, overwhelming because all these places that we're used to going, keep in mind, this is very much like a tourist attraction. Is that cat hair all over that? Very much like a tourist attraction.
The cheese?
Yeah, do you see that? So
it might be.
We get there and there's so many my ADD's kicking in. There's so many people that are there and it's all I want is I just want to stare at this arch without anyone around. But I'm not going to get it there.
2 days before, you were in the desert by yourself.
With this beautiful...
And I'll point out really quick, and we'll get back to your story so I remember your place. But, and I don't want to get into the video too much, but when you do reserve those campsites, like Lost Canyon, for instance, it's like a 2-mile stretch. And there's 3 campsites.
Yeah.
And I think we kind of touched on this.
I think we saw maybe 2 groups of people the whole time, and I think most of them, maybe perhaps both, were just day hiking.
Yeah. And that's your campsite, like we said. Just no one's around. So we're used to, it feels like your campsite is like you're in an Old West movie and you own the world.
Yeah.
So we're in the middle of nowhere.
Sky to ourselves.
We're used to that.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and which is why, again, most people wander off into the wilderness. So anyway, so we get to this place in which is kind of like, you can equate it to the, Grand Canyon. There's going to be a lot of people that are coming to see it, which I get, but it's just a funny mind switch when you go from like completely hiking by yourself and it's you and, your husband. And then all of a sudden we get to the top of this little hike and there's just handfuls on handfuls of people and selfie sticks.
Oh my God, so many selfie sticks.
So many selfie sticks.
No, almost like it was like a skit.
Oh my gosh.
Like they're pushing this too hard. This has to be a joke.
I started to get a little antsy. I was like, I can't. So we climb up to the top of this little hey, and I'm not busting on selfies. I will take selfies like the best of them, but I don't.
No.
And that one dude that was FaceTiming someone. So he's like,
we're high enough that there's actually internet, which is nowhere.
Right. And he's FaceTiming on speaker someone, and he's like, I'm at Delicate Art. It was just, anyway, it's just one of those things. You're like, really? This is still nature, people. Keep it together. But anyway, so we climbed to the top of one of those cool little areas, and we sat there and hung out, and we decided, so we had the option of maybe driving the rest of the park, or do we sit here for sunset and watch the sunset?
Because it was like...
Well, we sat there. I mean, it was probably like 4 or 5-ish.
It was 4-ish.
Yeah.
That's somewhere between 4 and 5.
Yeah. Still plenty of time that we could have driven it and maybe found another place if we wished to watch the sunset. But
if we left.
Yeah.
So it was like, let's call it 4:30. Sunsets at 6:30, 7 o'clock. Mm-hmm. It was like either stay here and get sunset, but you're in one spot.
Right.
Or try to leave.
And we could also see, what was that mountain? The mountain range that was over to the left of us.
Something with an L. Lanal.
No.
No?
No, I think you're making things up.
I'm not. Because you made a joke about how it sounded.
But anyway, so we decided to stay there for the sunset, which I think was
that was the right choice.
Such a great choice.
So,
and the amount and it thinned, which was nice because we were waiting for that. I was waiting to get some great pictures of the arch, underneath the arch, and I didn't want everyone and their mother in my photo, in which I don't know. As selfish as that may seem, but
it's fine.
But then it was really cool to see the quote unquote, if you will, the professional photographers that stayed and that are catching kind of a moonrise with the arch. And there was a handful of other people, but at that point we've kind of all picked our sections of that area in which we're all kind of staying, and we should
point out we climbed up.
Yeah.
On a higher elevation area. So we're away from people by about 20 yards.
Right.
And about 30, 40 feet higher than that?
Yes.
Yeah, our own little spot.
Yeah, a little windy, but...
Yeah, that's fine.
La Salle. You had the L right. It's La Salle Mountains.
Okay.
Yeah, that you could see. And 2 of them, 2 or 3, 1 or 2, were snow-capped, which was really cool to see from the distance. And Sean has some footage of that too, so that was really cool. But yeah, so we decided to kind of hang out and chill and just stare at this delicate arch and... hang out together and watch the moonrise and the sunset, and it was really cool because there was actually no moonrise from the Canyonlands spot in which we were in. There was no moonrise until 8 or 9 a.m., which was weird. Really neat. But there was a moonrise.
It was cool for stars.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The night before.
But then the moonrise that we saw over Arches was really cool. So yeah, I'm glad we did that. And then we did a night hike out, helped 2 other people that had a dimmer flashlight and helped them out of the woods there, or desert, if you will.
Yeah, they were walking.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe they're trying, both of us were maybe they're trying to be romantic.
I don't know if my light's messing them up, but at the same time I was I feel like they can't see.
Sarah carries her favorite flashlight, which is like a 900 lumen, like
I love that
death ray that she can adjust either from pinpoint to like flood. But anyway, she's walking with that.
You do a whole scan of the woods and you look for beady eyes looking back at you.
Light the world up.
Okay.
So we're hiking down at night because we did sunset, but we start noticing like some people in front of us and we're like, oh, we don't want to ruin their time, but it feels like they're going slow.
I was like, I know, I don't necessarily want to pass them because I also feel like they can't see, so I don't want to like...
And eventually they admitted like...
They turn around and they're like, thank you so much. You know, I don't know if they didn't realize how dark it would get or perhaps their flashlight was failing, but...
plans were slower, I don't know.
I'm glad that we did have that because that thing lights it up like it's daylight and
they were hobbling along on a cliff face with no light.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
We were just back behind them, back a little bit, and we, were able to light up their way and our way, and got back to the car, and then we drove back to Salt Lake. Is that right?
Yeah, we got back to the car. We drove back to Salt Lake, which was another... Oh my God! It was 3 hours at that point, and it was already 8.
Yeah.
Was it 8? Mm-hmm. It was after 8.
Yeah, we got back around like midnight.
We got her back around midnight.
Which love that hotel.
And we wanted to do a hike the next morning. We were fantasizing about getting up at we wanted to get to a trailhead at 6 a.m.
Right.
We get to the hotel at 12.
Yeah, and we still have to have some sort of semblance of like a dinner, kind of unpack, get packed for the next day flight that leaves at 3. Sean wasn't feeling that great. His allergies and such started to act up.
Yeah, my allergies went nuts. Yeah. It's like I got over it here on the west coast, here on the East Coast, and then I go back in time to the middle of the country, and my allergies are like, oh, okay, let's do this again. Yeah. So anyway.
But I, being me, refused to leave.
Refused
to leave Utah without doing somewhat of like a lake hike.
Thank God.
There's so many within like spitting distance of that area, and many of which do take quite some time. But there was one that we found that I think was only like less than 2 miles in, and you're at the lake.
Yeah.
It was like 1 point something. And it was called Secret with a C. Secret Lake, which was so great. And what national forest was that in?
That was in Wasatch, which full circle at the beginning, yeah.
Oh, so that was the third park that we did. So we did Canyons, Arches, and Wasatch. Okay.
Yeah, and I told this to Mike and Danielle.
Yeah.
Who we do hiking videos with.
Trail Killer and Danielle Disco.
Right, exactly.
As others may know them.
Yeah.
Which is another reason why we picked Moab and such, because we have a few places that the four of us
with Zion.
have on our list together that we want to all go together. So.
Yes, exactly.
Not the only reason we picked Moab, but why we steered more towards not Zion. Don't worry, people, that's on the list.
Yeah.
It's on the list.
But where was I going with that?
That you were telling Mike and Danielle about the lake hike.
Oh, right. So I was.
Stay with it, Sintax.
I am so sorry. But I was telling them about that. I guess the fact that it was crazy that it's so close to.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Right.
So and it was so cold. Do you remember?
Oh, because we were looking up reviews. So here in Delaware, and I would assume some of you can relate. If you go on the internet from your phone and you do nearby hikes, you're going to get like the local park.
Right.
And maybe something 10 miles away that's a little cooler. No. Whatever.
This had like 20 hits of all like epic, crazy.
But I look it up, and the hits I'm getting, I'm still used to seeing with the same intensity as back home. And it's like, yeah, this is a cool local hike.
Stroll.
I'd call it more a stroll than a hike, but whatever. So I'm like, okay, so I'm picturing my equivalent of that level of review. Going to a local park and seeing a flat lake with a couple geese and being amazed. So we look up this review for this place. I don't know if they have geese there. We look up a review for this place, and it's like, okay, cool, but we don't have that much time, so we'll go and do it. And we go, and...
Oh, yeah. So we get there to the parking lot, and again, more crowded than which we... are used to, but we're like, all right, no, that's cool. It's fine.
Yeah, and driving up
was so pretty.
It was 5,000 feet elevation at the airport
Nissan
hotel.
Versa was killing it.
And we drove up to like 9,000, right?
Yeah.
And
so beautiful, though. I'm sure, like, right now, it probably looks like the mountains are on fire. Because
amazing.
Just driving up there was just bursts of it that were just this, like, just crazy, intense yellow.
Yes.
That were so pretty.
Like on fire.
So much on fire. But anyway, then it gets to this point that, again, we're off-roading, and yet again, another Nissan Versa that I almost threw Sean out of the car, remember?
Yeah.
They hit that dip.
I love that I rented the same Nissan Versa that your company gave you. Yeah. It's like a Mustang in Hawaii.
Yeah. So we do that drive up to there, get to the trailhead. It is chilly. It's a little chilly at that point.
Sure.
But
a little chilly.
It was cold.
We both
had our
car,
Moab on.
and you earlier said, like, let's bring our Moab bells. And I was like, eh.
But hey,
dude,
Sintax doesn't remember. I was a Girl Scout. You got to be prepared, man. I said Moab bells, and he was thankful that I made us bring our Moab bells because it was cold.
Compared to where we left from?
Yeah.
It was, compared to that.
It was like 40-something.
It was brutal.
It was 55 on the way down. But
it was a brutal swing.
Up there, it was like a 4. And it was one of those cold. And a storm was coming in. There was a front coming in that afternoon. Remember, the rain started coming down when we were heading to the airport. But anyway, so we do like the mile or mile point, whatever, up.
And the day before, we're in the Wild West.
Right.
18 hours later.
Yeah. Alpine.
Alpine zone.
Yeah.
Boreal forest.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like New Hampshire, but on steroids.
Right. Yeah.
Just that, or like when we went to Canada, but like super pointy and elevated.
Yeah, it was really cool. But that hike up, it was interesting because we both agreed that we didn't seem like we were getting the most out of each breath in which that we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, we're what for our elevation?
We started at 9 point something thousand.
So just a little bit different than we're used to. And it by no means was strenuous. But I mean, it was uphill.
We could
but it
feel
wasn't
it.
like a strenuous uphill, but it was definitely...
We went to that bathroom.
Yeah.
There was like a Park Service bathroom.
Yeah.
And I remember running back from that to the car to get to another layer of clothing.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I feel so out of breath in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And I was telling you this, and Mike and Danielle, where here on the East Coast, I hear people like, I've heard a couple times people like, we're in New Hampshire at 5,000-6,000 feet.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh man, yeah, elevation, that must be what it is. It's messed me up. And it's just like, all right, well, maybe, but I've never felt it.
No.
But out there, it's like, yeah, now I get it.
Yeah.
And that was only 10. I know it goes much higher than that.
And it's certainly, we didn't have packs on at this point. I mean, it was...
It's not like I was dying.
No, but it was, you could tell a difference. It was interesting.
Yes, like you do 3 breaths.
It was
and
interesting,
you're just, I mean, right
you
now.
You were aware of it.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, this is weird.
Yeah. Like right now
pace
I'm
myself
sitting
a little
here.
different. Yeah.
I'm used to a certain amount of energy per breath. And it was just like, oh, I don't feel right.
Yeah. We
it
just
was
had
odd.
to pace ourselves a little different.
Sure.
So we then get up to the top, and as soon as you're kind of doing like a spiral up the side of it, kind of like you get up, and as soon as I see a sign, I'm like, oh, is the lake going to be here? Because it says no swimming.
Yeah.
And sure enough, as soon as you see that sign, you come up over, and there's this just beautiful lake. And how I wish the sun was out a little bit.
It was a little overcast.
It was very much overcast, but I can imagine what the reflections would look like
my God.
from the sun, with the mountain backing right up from the lake, and then on the other side you have the other mountain range. So it's just beautiful surroundings all around, and it was overcast, so unfortunately we didn't get many sun reflection pictures, if you will, but hiked around like the whole little area, climbed up a few different rocks to get a different view. Yeah, and for those of you that don't play with it on your phone.
That's so funny. I was about to bring this up.
Stop it,
I swear to God I was. Because I was like, she want to go into this? And I was like, I'm just bringing it up.
Yeah, man. Of course I do. I want to share everyone. So
can I tell them first?
Please do.
Well, maybe you're going to do this. But on your phone, all right, I've never used panorama I've never used panorama mode, but I'm at least aware of it because I've seen my friends do it. And if you don't know about it, it's where you'll see your friend hold the camera up, they press it, and then they do like a sweeping motion across.
That way you
the
kind of
landscape.
get more of like not even a 360, like not even a 180, but like
just get a wider
get
frame,
like a wider.
and the ending resulting photo looks like if you're watching a movie on your television that's at a narrower aspect ratio where you have the black bars above and below.
Right.
That's normal panorama.
Right.
Which I never even used that, but I was aware of it. But then when we're out there, go ahead.
There is VR panorama, and I never mess with VR panorama, and we're standing there.
This is on Android, right?
Yes, this is on our LG.
I don't know who else has this. I'm sure it's it's got to be out there.
Everyone has it.
I just didn't know.
But anyway,
It changed my life.
I never used it because I remember I tried a few times and I couldn't get it to work. So I was like, meh, whatever. I never really messed with it. But then when we're standing out by our campsite in Canyonlands, and just when you're looking at it, it's so frustrating because it's like, just the epicness of this won't come across. Like,
sure.
You know, when you're showing someone a picture and you're like, no, I swear to God, it looked really cool and it was like really high up, and never mind, it just looks like a pebble that I'm showing you. And the person's like, no, that's really cool. Great photo.
And throughout the day, when we're up in these really big areas,
we're doing panoramas at that point.
We're semi getting it done with the panorama, which remember is left to right.
Right.
So you left to right, but still it's just narrow.
Yeah.
But at least you're getting some wideness to it.
You just get to get
just
that
not quite
scope
doing it
a little bit.
Yeah.
So we try, while our dinner is steeping and cooking. Rehydrating. We took a little walk down this other path on the other side of LC2 and to kind of see if we could see a better sunset or skyscape from there.
We had a whole canyon to ourselves.
So we walked on that other side, which just shows more just beautifulness. And that's when we tried the VR panorama, and holy moly.
I'm like, just play with it.
Yeah, so side note, if you have VR panorama, please, the next hike that you do, use that. Like,
it's going to blow your mind.
I was standing there for like 20 minutes taking VR panoramas of like every single thing around me. But
may or may not have had wine or just grape juice, but either way, we walked around with some tin cups. And we did VR panorama for 2 hours in the middle of the desert.
It totally gets the scope across much more than just like, I mean, I took a picture of that cliff face that I was trying to take a picture of. I just did a regular photo and compared it to the VR. Like, obviously, it just doesn't really get that whole scope across. But anyway, so that was...
Well, to point it out, so the regular panorama is left to right.
Right.
Whereas the VR panorama, or whatever's equivalent on your phone, adds the third axis, hence the VR, up and down. So it's up to you. You can make a big square that's up and down. You can make a giant panorama that's maybe a little higher and lower. It's kind of hard to describe, but basically it's going to ask you to take the initial photo, and then you stitch together a bunch of photos to the left, up,
however
down,
you choose,
however you want, and then it processes it and create. It's hard to describe, but it looks like you took the photo from further away with the proper lens. Right. Only really you're standing right in front of it with a crappy cell phone. Yeah. Relative to a $10,000 camera.
Absolutely. Professional camera.
It's very nice.
But it really helped. I'm so glad we discovered that, because the scope of these pictures totally, in my opinion, and I'm happy I have them, come across much more than just like a regular photo would be. So thankfully we had that for all of these amazing parks that, we visited, which brings us back to the Alpine Lake. It really helped bring, we could get a photo of the whole lake right in front of us without having to be so high up. We didn't hike very much further than where the base of that lake was. We could have gone to, what was the top of the, they said for like a higher view, it was something with like an S, I feel. For a higher view, you can go up. Sugar loaf.
Yeah,
Sugar loaf
and then
mountain.
the view behind you that was very austere was like Devil's. Devil's something,
So they said you could go even higher, but we were shorter on time, and this was literally on our way to the airport. So we just wanted to make sure, we saw a little bit of a hike. But going back to that VR panorama, it really helps kind of bring just kind of what your eyeballs are taking in. You can kind of relay it on your photos, and I rely a lot on my photos for my memory. So it's something that made me really happy. But anyway, so you can bring all that in with the we saw that for the Alpine Lake, but you can totally hike higher. for that Alpine Lake, the secret with the C.
Yeah.
C-E.
But it was super easy to get to from you can drive up to that parking lot. We did it very quickly and got back to the airport.
Yeah, we got to the airport right at 1, right? We made sure we left at like noon.
Yep, we were pretty safe. We got to the airport at 1, dropped off our rental car, and then hung out at the airport. Went on our merry way.
Yeah.
Connected in Atlanta.
Totally happy that we did that last little stroll.
It was totally different. What a complete...
I mean, I had my Montville, I had my knit hat on at that point.
It made me feel
long
good.
Sleeve, like it was one of those, it was colder.
Yes. Like I love the desert thing, but man, I can't get it out of me. Like something about that alpine boreal forest, higher altitude, bitter cold, just clear air.
Yeah. However, when we came back, it was too cold and he wasn't happy.
Where from?
Here, when we came back home, and it was so cold.
Home?
I'm just not ready for the cold.
Well, no, because it's funny, because out there...
When you're hiking, you're good with it, but when we're back home, you're like, no.
Extreme swings. It was at night, it was colder than it was any time here.
Oh, sure.
But to come back at 11 a.m.
What was the low?
Out there? I don't know. We'll have to look at historical data, but I know it was getting down into the mid-40s at night in the desert. Yeah. And then during the day, forecasted 80, but I know where we were.
Our trail mix melted.
Without shadows shade in the 90s for either. We're getting like 40-degree temperatures.
Trail mix melted together and then froze.
Yep, trail mix was melting during the day and freezing until black at night. But it was awesome.
Very much so.
It was a good time. And then we flew back, and I'll make a video about it, and you'll see that too.
And here we are.
Here we are, and I think we knocked out that reset. I think we did a couple hours.
Oh my goodness.
I think we did a couple hours.
For anyone that is still listening, we love you.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
For those of you that don't, you suck.
Oh my goodness. Sarah is unfiltered. This is what happens when you don't edit her.
It's true.
Yeah, but...
No, but seriously, for those of you that are still listening, I hope you enjoyed it, and you'll definitely see, hopefully, everything that we talked about and more on the video, but we wanted to give you much more of the backstory that wasn't all, called on film, but totally love flying and going hiking.
Yeah.
I want to do some in Cali.
Yeah, we got to do that.
I mean, there's so much.
We'll get there. And I don't even know. We just did this podcast, quote unquote, format because it was the easiest way to get this across. I don't know if I'll ever do it again or not, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do another episode sometime where we talk about another trip that we did.
Yeah.
In more depth. But
maybe with Trail Killa and Danielle Disco.
That would be great too.
Oh.
But yeah, it was fun.
Some reminiscing.
And of course, I'm posting this on YouTube, as many of you can tell already. But I probably should have said at the beginning.
What's that?
Just go to my website and you can just download. I'll throw it up.
We'll put a link.
Yeah, I'll put a link. We'll throw it up in MP3 because I know it's kind of dumb. I've tried to listen to stuff on YouTube and it's annoying because if you turn the screen off, then YouTube is about video and it shuts down and you just want to listen to this. But whatever. I'll put a link up. I'll post this. I'll probably create a whole page on there for podcast, even though this might be the only one. But whatever. You can download it if you so wish. And I think that kind of covers it. I say that's enough for a first attempt.
I think so.
Yeah?
I had fun.
I did too, and we have not eaten dinner yet.
I know. I hope everyone else had fun listening.
Yes.
To us blabbing. I hope you enjoyed it and share with us some of your experiences. And
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Good deal.
Yeah,
well,
man.
I guess at this point, we kind of wrap it up. So until next time, I'm Sintax77.
I'm Mrs. Sintax.
Wow, that's very 1800s. You can say your own name.
I'm Sara.
Hi, Sara.
Adios.
Alrighty, see you later.
Amigos.